This is Resilience Quest. It's a game show where players journey to a dystopian future to examine worst-case scenarios.
Why this is not good for us? We don't have much time.
I feel like I can't breathe here.
I'm thinking about how my favorite cat videos will link me to some suspicious website. I'll be damn sad.
Scam attacks. Yeah. They then travel back in time to champion a way to prepare for the calamity. You'll be given 5 minutes to discuss this, and your time starts now.
The team's arguments will be scored by a panel of experts. It's a meeting of minds and a battle of wits to protect Singapore's future.
Oh my God.
This is so tough. Even like coastal flood protection, right? Yeah.
Welcome aboard our time machine. I'm your game master, Yvonne Chan. Let's meet our travelers. From the team in green, we have Isaiah Chung. He's a social entrepreneur and a health and aging strategist. Joining Isaiah is Vanessa Tan from Stridey, a non-profit organization addressing urban waste management issues worldwide. And their team captain is social media content creator and presenter Fauzi Aziz. So Fauzi, tell us, what's your team name?
Our team name is Gang Green Gang.
Are you seriously? Gang Green Gang?
Okay, to make it a little bit easier for you, we'll just be called Triple G.
Okay, I can live with that.
Okay.
Triple G has a nice roll to the tongue.
There you
Welcome
go.
to the Triple G team.
Thank you.
And let's turn to the team in blue right now. We have Bei Min Yen. She's a data scientist and the CEO of Hey Coders Academy. It's a tech education provider. Next, we have Jennifer Chung, and she's the CEO of Dancing Mind. That's a startup that works to make therapy more affordable and accessible through digital solutions. And their team captain is BioGirl MJ. She was a science teacher turned content creator, and her channel, Just Keep Thinking, is all about raising eco-awareness. So MJ, I'm excited to hear what your team name is.
So our team name is the Power Buff Girls because our decisions that we make today will buffer our infrastructure resilience.
Wow. All right, so I see some thought given to this name. Welcome to the Power Buff Girls. Welcome to both teams, really. Now, in this episode, we will discuss infrastructure resilience, and that will cover topics such as overpopulation, cybersecurity, and climate change. And in this first scenario, we will deal with the challenges brought on by overpopulation. So Eve, please take us there.
Welcome to a version of Singapore in the year 2065. The main island is now home to nearly 10 million people. It's overpopulated and its infrastructure is overburdened.
That's right, teams. Here, housing, healthcare, and transport systems are often crippled or overflowing with people, resulting in delays, disease, despair, and death. What do you think of your city becoming possibly too crowded?
Oh my God.
Any thoughts?
I feel sad. I don't see any sky. I don't see any greenery.
No greenery, right?
Yeah, concrete.
Yeah,
I feel like I can't breathe.
Urban jungle.
Yeah.
You feel...
I feel like I can't breathe here.
Yeah, Jennifer, Min Yen, any thoughts?
This is pretty scary.
Well, the city's population growth has been on this trajectory since the third decade of the 21st century, and that's exactly where we're going in our time machine. Eve.
Beware, traveling backwards in time is complex. Answering questions about your destination will help me navigate to your version of Singapore with time to spare.
Okay, listen up, teams. Every correct answer is worth 3 points. And if you answer all questions correctly, you get 1 bonus point. Now, both teams can take part in this trivia round. So is it game on?
Yes!
All right, I'm loving the energy, so let's go with question 1. What was the total population of Singapore in the year 2023? We have 3 options for you. A, 5.5 million, B, 5.7 million, and C, 5.9 million. You have 10 seconds to choose your answer.
Very specific.
We've chosen our answer already.
Very confident there.
We're very confident.
Same.
Okay, it looks like you didn't need 10 seconds to make your answer, so please show me what your team answer is. C for Triple G, also a C for the Power Buff Girls. Eve, tell us what's the correct answer.
As of 2023, Singapore had a total population of 5.9 million, with 61% being citizens.
All right, so good one on that first question. 3 points awarded to each of you. Let's move on to the second question, shall we? In the year 2023, how many people lived in each square kilometer of land in Singapore? Option A, 3,600. Option B, 4,600. Option C, 8,000. 10 seconds to decide your answer, please, teams.
You confirm, huh?
No, but I think they're still asking. They're still asking per. Okay.
Okay, your 10 seconds is up. Please show me what your answers are. The Triple G chose C, and Power Buff Girls also chose C. Eve, tell us what the correct answer is.
In 2023, Singapore had a population density of about 8,000 people per square kilometer. It's one of the most densely populated countries in the world.
All right, so correct points given to both teams. Now let's move to the third question. The Urban Redevelopment Authority's long-term plan is designed to guide Singapore's strategic land and infrastructure use over how many years? Is it 10, is it 20 years, or is it 50 years? 10 seconds starts now.
I think it's A or C.
Let's go for it.
But it's long time.
That's what I also think, but you know. Yeah, we'll try that.
And 10 seconds is up. Please show us your answers. C, so both teams chose 50 years. Eve, please tell us what the correct answer is.
This long-term plan guides Singapore's development over the next 50 years and beyond. It is reviewed every 10 years.
Great news, guys. You've answered all 3 questions correctly, giving both teams 9 points each. And let's add on that additional bonus points, so you get 10 points each. Congratulations, Eve. It's time to time travel.
Welcome to the year 2024.
So Team Triple G, you must now find a way to build Singapore's resilience by tackling the challenge of population growth. And we've arranged calls with 2 experts offering 2 vastly different strategies, so listen up.
Hi travelers, I present to you Land Unlimited. Picture a Singapore that's ready to house 10 million people, a vision made possible by strategic coastal reclamation. We won't just expand horizontally, we'll build high and dig deep, with vertical and underground urban expansion. To top it off, we're embracing smart city technologies to create a city of boundless possibilities.
Welcome to Harmony 2065, a forward-looking vision where happiness and well-being take precedence over population growth, as we cap the future population through strict controls. We're crafting a future that prioritizes your quality of life. Picture yourself in relaxing, eco-friendly neighborhoods that promote serenity and connection with nature. Our commitment to senior-friendly infrastructure ensures that dignity and comfort are paramount. Join us in shaping a harmonious Singapore where well-being is at its core.
Okay, Team Triple G, you've heard both solutions, Land Unlimited and Harmony 2065. We would like you to carefully consider each option, weighing up the pros and cons of the solution, and then share your analysis of which solution you decide to champion and why. You'll be given 5 minutes to discuss this, and your time starts now.
Okay, let's go discuss.
Check out why HDB is not building the 100 stories HDBs.
I think we are currently doing vertical and underground urban expansion as we speak, and at the same time we try to improve the senior-friendly infrastructure. We are also trying to improve the well-being in the neighborhoods. So I think choosing is very difficult.
It says prioritizing happiness and well-being over growth. So if we have no growth by 2065, can we maintain current standards of living? Can we maintain this quality of life? So you know, if you're a bit older and 2065 is near the end of your life, fantastic. But if you're really young right now, the new generation coming up, you know, does that lock you into, you know, a different trajectory than what we currently have? It's a difficult one.
And your time is up. Team Triple G, huge sigh of relief there, really?
Not a sigh of relief, sigh of like, oh my God, we're not ready for this.
Okay, well, it's now or never. You'll be judged by a panel of experts who will reward you based on the clarity of your argument, the accuracy of the evidence presented, and the overall maybe stylishness of your delivery. So how memorable or how engaging your messages were. So are you ready, Triple G? All right, huge nods there. Let's bring up player one. Your time starts now.
Okay, so we're supporting part 2. So 3 pointers here. Number 1, in Singapore, we want to prioritize the citizens, people. Right? So prioritizing people to be happy. If people are happy, they're going to be productive. So that's key. So number 2, we are prioritizing their well-being. Right, so that's where you have eco-friendly environments relaxing that supports mental health of the citizens, that they're able to have good quality of life, so they are happy. Right? The third point is looking at infrastructure. We're going to prioritize infrastructure that helps people across the whole lifespan. Right? Whether they are middle age, or when we are older, you're on a wheelchair, doesn't matter, you have good accessibility, you have good affordability, and it's friendly, so you're technically having good access. Right? That helps, end of the day, good quality of life, and at the same time, supports the health of every individual, every citizen in Singapore.
Okay, so that's the pitch for Harmony 2065. Let's bring on player number 2.
Okay, so we didn't want to choose land unlimited because contrary to what it says, we think that it actually would limit our growth as well. So first of all, I'll tackle it with 3 points also. So first of all is that there is a limit as to land reclamation and how that would be like, because that could potentially also be a tension between countries, because that's where do we get our sand from, and as well as how far do you want to build, which also will affect the straits of our waters, which is one of our sources of economic growth as well. Secondly, to be able to build underground and vertically will have its cons as well, such as building underground, it'll be dark. People are not really suitable to be living there, as well as because they'll be affected. Their circadian rhythm will be affected, and therefore leading to be slightly unhappy as well. Building vertically also has its cons, such as like increasing wind speeds. This has been there's a report that has been suggesting.
I'll have to interrupt you there, Vanessa. There's a little scream there, but we only have a minute for each presenter. Fauzi, take it away.
Okay, I want to put it to you. Are you all Singaporeans? Do you all live in Singapore? My question to you is, do you not want to live a happier life? All right? So to me, when it comes to this argument, we're always talking about, you know, people against economic growth, right? So my situation is, it is a chicken and egg situation, right? So to me, to gain economic growth, we have to have happier people who are going to be productive. And Singapore's only resource is our people. And that's why we put it to you that we want to definitely invest money into making our people happy and use them and use their abilities to build technology to help us live and happily, but at the same time growing the country economically as well. But with that said, I do want to acknowledge that we don't want to eliminate Card 1 entirely. There are certain strategies from Card 1 that we would want to implement into our strategy so that we have a combined strategy where we have more space to live.
Volume against volume. Okay, I appreciate the speed at which you delivered your presentations, and I do see a little bit of a strategy going on there. 3 key points given by the first and the second presenter, and then a big rallying call to the judges for your consideration. So let's see what they have to say about Team Triple G's pitch.
I think delivery and style was good for what it was, so 8 out of 10. The evidence and the quality of reasoning, I didn't really see that much of that, right? It was much more evoking to what would you prefer, what would you feel, which is valid, but I think there could have been a lot more strength to the reasoning of the arguments.
I think they also highlighted the need to look at some of the arguments of the other card, like Land Unlimited, and I think I like that they were critical about what is put into the Harmony 2065. I mean, they don't want to restrict the growth. They don't necessarily want the cap, but if they have to choose, then definitely people come first. And I quite like this argument.
Well, the judge's verdict is in. Team Triple G, you scored a possible 68 points out of 90 points.
Yay.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
But for now, let's see how Team Power Buff Girls will take on some cyber challenges right after this. Welcome back to Resilience Quest. It's Power Buff Girls' turn now, and they have to confront another potential challenge confronting Singapore's infrastructure in the future. Eve, take us there.
The year is 2030. This version of Singapore has been crippled by hackers. Cyberattacks have disabled critical infrastructure, like financial systems, power, and transport.
So 2030 is not far off from where we are, and people's bank accounts are frozen or stolen. There is widespread panic, social unrest. People are also hoarding and looting. I just want to get your thoughts on how you would react if you were in a situation like this.
I mean, seeing how we all are pretty much relying on digital technology, this looks very difficult to live in.
Especially if you can't have access to your bank accounts, hoarding, looting. Team Triple G.
I'm thinking about how my favorite cat videos will link me to some suspicious website. I'll be damn sad.
Scam attacks.
Yeah.
These are what we call attack on CII, critical information infrastructure.
Yeah.
Many of these attacks are actually state-sponsored. That means there's a very highly resourceful entity to support the attacks. Yeah.
So do you think they could cripple all of the critical infrastructure? Do you think it could actually happen? 2030?
Yes, it's actually happening in some country and some part of the world. The Ukrainian war and all this, they all started with the attack on the CII. These are attacks done by what they call APT, Advanced Persistent Threat. So they will be hidden there for quite some time.
Oh, right.
Okay, and then when the time is right, then they will launch the attacks.
So in this alternate version of Singapore, wasn't prepared for such a debilitating cyber attack. Now, if only we could turn back time to help them prepare for this. But oh wait, we do have a time machine. So Eve, why don't you take us there?
Beware, traveling backwards in time is complex. Answering questions about your destination will help us navigate through the multiverse to your version of Singapore with time to spare.
So this is the segment that I like. It is trivia time. Every correct answer is worth 3 points. And if you answer all 3 questions correctly, you get awarded 1 bonus point. And both teams can take part in the trivia round. So are you ready?
Yes!
All right, listen up. Here's your first question. How many ransomware incidents were reported in Singapore in 2022? Was it 87, 132, or 445? 10 seconds starts now.
Let's think about it.
Yeah, we have our answer.
Oh, very confident there, Minion. We have our answer. Let's give Triple G some more time, but time is up. Okay, so please write down your answers and reveal it to me right now. B for the PBG, so 132, and the answer for that, your option would be 87. So Eve, what is the correct answer?
132 ransomware incidents were reported to the authorities in the year 2022. The cases affected mostly small and medium enterprises.
Well done, Team Power Buff Girls. And I heard the collective, you have 2 more chances to maybe get yourself back in the lead. Let's move on to the second question, shall we? In which year was digital defense established as a pillar of total defense? Was it the year 2010 or 2015 or 2019? 10 seconds starts now.
I think it's possible. It's possible.
I can't remember because I feel like
And your time is up. Let's collectively reveal our answers, please. It is B, 2015 is your answer. Eve, why don't we tell them what the correct answer is?
In 2019, digital defense was established as the sixth pillar of total defense.
Okay, one last question for this trivia round. I hope you guys get it right. In Singapore, computer systems that directly deliver essential services are classified as critical information infrastructure. Of the following options, which sector's computer systems are not classified as critical? Is it healthcare, is it media, or is it hospitality? 10 seconds starts now.
Hey, not, is it? Yeah, I guess that's yeah.
The time is up. This answer could be a game changer. So let's reveal your answers, please. C, hospitality was your option. Let's go to Eve for the correct one.
Hospitality is the odd one out. There are 11 critical sectors: energy, water, banking and finance, healthcare, transport, infocom, media, security and emergency services, and the government.
So Triple G, you answered one question correctly, giving you 3 points. In Team Power Buff Girls, you got 2 questions correct, giving you 6 points. No bonus points will be awarded in this round. And so back to you, Eve. It's time to time travel.
Welcome to Singapore in the year 2024.
The city-state has a chance to build up its cyber resilience before those crippling cyber attacks, and I've arranged calls with 2 experts, again offering 2 different strategies, so please listen carefully.
Hello, travelers. Cyber Shield Pro is the most professional solution to Singapore's cybersecurity challenges. Cybersecurity experts from the public and private sectors will work together to strengthen national defense coordination and increase global intelligence collaboration. This initiative harnesses the best of both worlds, innovation from the private sector and strategic oversight from the government, all while tapping into a global network of cyber intelligence. It's a comprehensive, multi-layered strategy ensuring Singapore remains a step ahead in the digital security realm.
Good day. Community Cyber Strength is our visionary approach to building a cyber-aware and resilient citizenry. It's about empowering every individual with the knowledge and skills to protect themselves in the digital world. This strategy is rooted in education, awareness, and community engagement, fostering a culture where cybersecurity is a shared responsibility and a common understanding.
So Team Power Buff Girls, you've heard both solutions, Cyber Shield Pro and Community Cyber Strength. Do weigh up both solutions, assess them for their pros and cons, and then tell us why you decide to champion either solution. You'll have 5 minutes to discuss this, and your time starts now.
We can go with security. So the scenario that actually they have 2 damage. One is a direct damage due by the attacks. Second one is a secondary damage because people started to panic. So these 2 cards is actually cater for each of the case stage. So in cybersecurity, usually we talk about preventive, response, and recovery. So the first card is more on the preventive. The second one is more on the response.
Yeah, I mean, so if you use a kind of an analogy like a seawall, so that's what I see card 1 to be, right? You need to protect against the flooding. But card 1 can be breached, right? Yes. It can be breached no matter how good it is. And then you need the protocols. You need people to understand what to do when if it is breached.
Yes.
And your time is up. You could really see some ferociously fast writing going on there. So each of you will be given a minute to speak. So let's bring on player 1, shall we?
So dear travelers and judges, I posit to you that the card 2, community cyber strength, would be the more preferable option in the opinion of our team. Now, if you try to think about the first cybersecurity nationwide campaign that comes to mind, or maybe details of the latest strategy documents or master plans that have been published, does anything ring a bell? It's really, really hard. No amount of top-down organization or infrastructure will be able to replace what's at the core, which is the community, the users of the digital systems that we're increasingly being exposed to, right? So I really like what the card mentioned about awareness and engagement. The core point here is that you don't need to be a tech professional to be well-versed in cybersecurity trends and threats, because somebody who is very, very conversant in latest, in the humanities, for example, or somebody who has...
Minian, let's stop you there. She was highlighting some of the pros for community cyber strength. Time is of the essence, so let's move to Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you. So while we agree that Card 1 has merits, we believe that an inter-ministry approach is the best way to go. We feel that infrastructure alone isn't enough to protect users from cyber attacks. And in fact, social engineering is one of the weakest links, or rather humans are one of the weakest links. When we looked into it, we found that a majority of cyber attacks were actually succeeded from phishing attempts and users installing malware, especially in Singapore, with the seniors. So perhaps whatever we have right now with these alliances, inter-ministry or international, that are already in place are very important, but a priority should be placed on making sure that everyone in the community is equipped with these cybersecurity skills and awareness.
And let's have MJ wrap it up for the team.
All right, imagine this, okay? If you have the best and most up-to-date iPhone in front of you, but you don't know how to use it, then the iPhone is actually useless. So you can build all the infrastructure you want, but if the people are not aware and equipped with the skills and knowledge to leverage on the infrastructure to build on cyber resilience, then the cyber resilience is practically ineffective. So with that, we do believe that even though infrastructure resilience is important, community engagement and strengthening the community is equally, if not more important as well. After the Ukraine-Russian war, 2 days after it was being invaded, the PM of Ukraine actually pleaded to the entire world, asking all the hackers out there to help build upon Ukraine's cyber resilience and protect their critical information infrastructure. So with that, we can actually see that with a strong community, you can actually help protect the nation as well. So social engineering has been shown to be the most resilient way to protect a nation. Studies have shown that as well, and a way to strengthen the community. And
your time is up, Power Buff girls. Well done on that attempt there. So truly, the focus is on grassroots level, right? Starting from the ground up, education awareness, making sure that everyone in the community takes vigilant steps to ensure a safe cyber landscape. Now let's see what our judges have to say about their presentation.
So for me, I think the big kind of limitation there was the scope. It was very much focused on the kind of scams that occur, that we see in the news, right? You scan the wrong QR code, you install the wrong app. That's definitely one part of it, but that's a relatively minor part. If you were to have critical infrastructure crippled, that's a whole another level.
They focus too much on the phishing attacks. That is only one aspect. So it's true that a lot of error is due to management error, due to human error. But those errors happen actually in the back-end side. It's not what we know about the phishing attack and all this. Okay? So I think that is the main point that I detected from them. As of clarity, I think it's very clear that the delivery of the argument is very clear.
The judge's verdict is in. Team Power Buff girls, you've scored 57 points out of a possible 90 points. And again, I just want to share some quick comments from the judges. So they thought that your presentations were very clear. There were lucid arguments, but they felt that perhaps you didn't address the cyber resilience scenario accurately. And there was too much focus on scams, phishing incidents, and social engineering. Anyway, the final round will decide our winners, as both teams will go head-to-head in a debate about climate change. Stay with us. Welcome to the final act in this episode of Resilience Quest. At last, both teams will get to debate with each other. Are you guys ready to go head to head?
Yes!
Excellent. Well, here are your current scores. Team Triple G, you have 81 points, and Team Power Buff Girls, 73 points. Now, this decisive final round is worth up to 150 points, and it could really turn things around. So teams, our last worst case scenario for the future has to do with climate resilience. Eve, please take us there.
Welcome to the year 2065. Singapore is flooded relentlessly due to the rise in sea levels and extreme storms caused by climate change.
So in this alternate version of Singapore, the waters are destroying infrastructure, flooding the airports, driving people from their homes. Team Power Buff Girls, how plausible do you think the scenario could be?
I don't swim well.
It's time to start learning how to swim. Jennifer, Minion, your thoughts?
Very, very bleak, yeah.
I mean, there have been flash floods in Singapore.
Yeah, it is very plausible given that we're an island, so yeah, and the flash floods.
And rising sea levels as
That's
well. Well, the city cannot solve climate change by itself, but it has to build up its resilience to weather the side effects. So let's travel back in time to see what we can do. Eve, take us there.
Welcome to Singapore in the year 2024.
Teams, I've arranged calls with experts who will present to you two different strategies, so listen up.
Welcome, brave time travelers. The solution I propose is tech-enhanced resilience. Our approach focuses on developing climate-resilient critical infrastructure through advanced engineering techniques. We're investing in the building of structures like seawalls, flood barriers, elevated platforms, and flood-resistant buildings. These marvels of engineering will provide long-term protection against epic floods.
Hi team, our solution is called Eco Community Shield. Imagine communities resilient to climate change and flooding, bolstered by natural coastal defenses and community training. Our approach harnesses nature's power and equips locals with essential skills. Complementing this, we establish disaster preparedness and early warning systems for timely response and maximum resilience.
You've heard both solutions, tech-enhanced resilience and eco-community shield. And since Team Triple G, you scored higher in the previous round, you get to pick first which solution card you will be championing. So which one will it be? You have 10 seconds to decide.
10 seconds to choose which one. Oh my god, 10 seconds to choose which one you want. Which one do you prefer, guys? Which one you got more confident in? Yeah.
And your time is up. Please tell us which solution card you will be championing.
We'll be choosing card 1.
Tech-enhanced resilience. Okay, so since Team Triple G has chosen solution card for tech-enhanced resilience, that means Team Power Buff Girls, you will be championing the Eco Community Shield solution. Now, what I really like about this round is that unlike the previous rounds, this time, each team gets a chance to also critique the other team's presentation, all right? So now you have 7 minutes to discuss as a team before you present. Your time starts now.
You guys are like starting already? This is so tough. Even like coastal flood protection, right?
Enhancing nature. Minimizing soil, yeah. So minimizing soil emission.
The tech-enhanced one, that's the way we do things primarily. But it's very similar to the cybersecurity example because we can build this infrastructure, sea walls, sea levees, but they can fail.
Yes.
So it depends, what is our risk tolerance? To what extent, to what degree of risk aversion are we going to build our infrastructure?
But I think, unlike the other acts, this one, you can actually build more on the community resilience. You could definitely have a well-established early warning system to basically evacuate and ultimately I think we need to brace for the situation that we cannot protect the whole island against any kind of event at all times. We will need people to be anticipative, responsive, and able to manage these events.
And I think that's a big challenge for a country like Singapore that has been, at least until now, relatively insulated from experiencing these kinds of disasters which hit our Southeast Asian neighbours. So that is an important and a big challenge.
Okay, teams, your discussion time is up. Triple G, are you ready to present?
Yes.
Full of conviction there.
Yes.
You will have 2 minutes to pitch. Your time starts now.
So when Donna Summers said, looking for some hot stuff, baby, this evening, she's not talking about the rising temperature levels, okay? But that is something we need to pay attention to, all right? Because with the rising temperature levels, one of the things that will affect us with the climate change is the fact that the sea levels will rise, and that will affect Singapore, especially so because we are an island nation, and we are definitely susceptible to the problems that will come with that. Now, based on the recent climate study V3, the sea levels are actually rising much higher than expected. And that's something that we cannot lose our attention to, right? Now, Singapore, I talked about this earlier, our people are our major resource, and these people are the ones who can come up with tech and infrastructure as the way to mitigate the effects of climate change. For example, like things like flooding and flash floods in Orchard Road in 2010 and 2011, we were a bit too late to figure out that situation. We were responding to it, right? So now we want to build infrastructure and tech that helps us mitigate those issues.
So with that, looking at the Orchard Road flood situation, we have two different strategies for protection. One is inland, one is external. So inland, we look at drainage diversion. We have a Stanford diversion canal. I think we can look at more where there's more rain in a specific area, divert the water so that there will not be flash floods. Good mitigation. Number two, external, rising sea temperatures, rising sea levels. We have the ponders and dikes that we have learned from Netherlands that we can continue to build. We have Pulau Tekong, the Long Island project. Those are things that we need to expand on and continue to look at all our vulnerable areas in which we can solidify and prioritize infrastructure and technology to support Singapore in this climate change scenario. And lastly, we're looking at building resilience, because as rising temperature goes up, buildings the acceleration of the degeneration of the foundation, the building, underground tunnels goes down.
Isaiah, let's stop you there. 2 minutes is up. Team Power Buff Girls, you ready to critique them?
Yes.
1 minute starts now.
Thank you so much for your argument. First of all, I would like to talk about the V3 study that was recently just published 2 days ago. They actually did not take into account for very extreme situations where the West Antarctic ice sheet, the Greenland ice sheets actually melt and the glaciers fall into the water, and that actually increases the sea level by more than just 4 or 5 meters. It can reach 10 to even 20 meters. And for that, we cannot account for that because we don't have enough money, we don't have enough land, and therefore at those kind of situations, we actually need the community to be ready to listen to warnings that is being sent out through their apps, and for the community to rally together and know what to do in that kind of situation. So with that, I have to admit that infrastructure resilience is extremely important, but in Singapore, we already have all the infrastructure resilience that we have. We can do more, but we're actually doing quite well now. In fact, now we're looking towards combining hard engineering solutions with soft elements, such as having slope revetments with smaller gaps for mangrove to take place, because mangrove have the ability to reduce tidal energy by 75%. So by reducing the tidal energy, we actually resolve solutions.
I'll have to end your critique right there. So when we return, we'll get to hear Team Power Buff Girls pitch their solution for a climate-resilient Singapore. See you then. Welcome back to Resilience Quest. We're in the middle of the final act. Team Triple G has presented their solution, and it's now time for Team Power Buff Girls to pitch their solution for Eco Community Shield. Team Power Buff Girls, you ready?
Yep.
The countdown timer starts now.
All right, hi everyone. Remember why we actually have this situation of climate change and these problems? To a large extent, you know that carbon emissions make up a huge part of that. And by trying to combat that with even more infrastructure and construction, you may be digging the hole a little deeper in that sense. It's really important to consider what we will be missing if we have this. For example, our natural heritage, the beaches that we have, the marine wildlife. These are all very, very obvious trade-offs when you start having more and more infrastructure in the form of dams and things like that. We're not saying that, it is not important, but it must be done in moderation. And at its core, it's more important to look at more creative natural solutions to that, just like mangroves, which is what my colleague BioMG has just mentioned, how he actually reduces tidal energy by up to 75%. On top of that, it's really important that community preparedness is there. For example, water confidence. How do you build a makeshift raft in the event of an emergency? It's really important to keep in mind that it is the safety of these people at stake and their lives.
Yeah, thank you. To add on, I would also like to highlight that no system, no matter how resilient it is totally foolproof. And we can also keep our sights on things like heritage protection and biodiversity protection. So there are current systems in place that is focused on the community that is important, such as the siren systems and my ENV app to get flood warnings. It comes to mind the story of the little boy in the Netherlands who plucked his hand, and we have to rely on people and communities to look for these cracks and flaws in the system, and they are our first line of defense. So to end off, we actually also need to rely on the community to help each other, especially the less privileged, the non-ambulant, such as people with disabilities, and make sure that they themselves are also not endangered and they have their plans for flood protection as well.
Nicely done, just on time. Thank you, Min Yen and Jennifer from Team Power Buff Girls. I just wanted to add that I do have an inflatable raft at home. Okay? I just had to put it out there. Anyway, Team Triple G, you ready for your critique?
Yes.
Okay, and your 1 minute starts now.
Okay, so I understand that the infrastructure trade-offs in terms of the long-term approach as compared to having the community ready is existent. However, it is also, and we also agree that it is important for accumulative people's efforts but however, we have like only 5.9 million people in Singapore, and we also understand that carbon emissions is also like a global effort. So therefore, having to support and focus on only community efforts are only a very limited effort as well. One of the points that were mentioned was also that less privileged people, those are the people that we need to protect as well. However, even more so, we do need to have infrastructure in place such that we are able to protect them, because mitigation strategies can only mean so much. Post-trauma disaster fixing can only do so much, whereas like mitigation strategies such as Long Island approach could be a lot more holistic.
All right, so that's the end of your rebuttal. Thank you, Vanessa from Team Triple G. I have to say, it's very difficult to pick just one solution in this scenario, but our judges will now be deliberating and deciding which team will be the winner for this round.
So for Triple G, I thought it was a well-delivered argument, but I also think that there's another aspect to that wasn't really considered, which is that traditional infrastructure can fail. And that wasn't really put forward. When the second team made their pitch, we saw that more clearly. A lot of discussion about to what extent can we build to prevent this kind of impact from happening. In a worst case scenario, our physical infrastructure will fail, and so forth. I thought the one, if you will, limitation from the second pitch had to do with an emphasis more on climate change mitigation, about how not constructing grey infrastructure would contribute, and that's an important aspect too. But for me, this scenario was much more about adaptation, building resilience, rather than that.
I liked quite a bit on the blue team that they were able to highlight the need for resilience management beyond risk management. Basically, prepare for the unknown event. Even though you can plan for flood events, you may never be prepared for the ultimate event that you don't know about. And I think that's what is resilience about.
So I think the blue is quite consistent, okay? And also like the fact that they bring out a point that for climate control management, we need really a community to get involved.
I would say both teams did well, and the gaps between the two teams are very, very narrow.
The verdict is in, and this is one of my favorite parts, the score reveal. Team Power Buff Girls, you've scored 73 points for your pitch and 44 points for your rebuttal, giving you a total points of 117 in this final round. Team Triple G, you've scored 71 points for your pitch and 46 points for your rebuttal, for a total of 117 as well in this final round. So it's a tie for both teams in this final act, but let's add on your scores from the previous round. So if we tabulate all that, Team Power Buff Girls, your total score is 190 points for this journey, and Team Triple G, your total score is 198 points, which means Team Triple G is the winner for this journey of the Resilience Quest. And for Team Power Buff Girls, you did your best, and I'm sure you learned a thing or two from today's game as well. The judges thought it was a really close match between the two teams, and both sides presented your arguments well. I hope you enjoyed journeying with us on Resilience Quest. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Being in a hot seat to consider among a myriad of solutions for different situations that arise are pretty stressful. So that takes into consideration what kind of policies do we have currently in place as well, perhaps also in the future also. So I think today I learned a lot about what are different possibilities that could be in our future, as well as potential solutions and what are the pros and cons of each as well.
To me, it was very interesting to find out about all the different initiatives that even take place up to 50 years in the future. We always feel like it's a very long time away, but very soon we're going to be living in that future as we get older. And it was very interesting to also compare these different perspectives. And in fact, what we found and what we learned was there are a lot of merits on both perspectives and both sides to create a more resilient future for all of us.